And we are live. Hey, good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ringer Hire Show, and I have co-host. I got it now, Marianthe Hetsis.
Rockstar, you so got
How,
it.
how you like that? Pretty good, wasn't it?
I know. You might as well be Greek at this point, honestly.
I know it's better than the first time. So, hey, listen tonight. It's great to be back here on LinkedIn, and I invited Marianthe on the show because we're going to talk about leadership tonight. And you know the drill. I'm going to show this video, and we'll be right back after this. Come on, not bad for $17.
You should have seen me just bopping my head. I was dancing a bit.
I told you at $17, and how did you like that?
Oh, he did such a great job.
I love it. He's great. All right, we have some people already. Herbert Orlando Gonzalez, welcome to the show.
Hey, Herbert.
And Lisa, we haven't seen Lisa. She was on the show last time with you.
Yeah, she was.
And if you haven't connected with James, he does some great podcasts. How you doing, James? It's been a while. And I think we all took some breaks in between on LinkedIn because it was like doing podcasts, it can get consuming for time and months and months. And I felt like I was off of school, like you get a school break.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you need that to come back stronger and feel refreshed. And now it's like you hit the ground running and you go for it.
And I got 36 LED lights all around me.
I remember that from last time. And I'm like, how do you get your lighting so good?
It's unbelievable. I have a fan blowing on me so I can keep cool now because there's so friggin' many of those bionic lights at Walmart. They're called bionic. You screw them in, they're like, woo.
Okay. I am writing this down because you know what? Thanks to you, I'm going to have a giant ring circle of light and those bionic lights for my interviews coming
right up. Right at Walmart. The ring I put a ring on top of it also, and I don't know why. I got a ring now.
Did you put little flames of fire behind it too?
That wouldn't be bad. That would be pretty good if I could do that. All right. Hey, we got Rob in the house. Hey, Rob, congratulations. Hey, Rob got a job. Rob starts a new job.
Oh my gosh, Rob, congratulations.
Yeah, that is awesome. All right. Tonight, and I thank you so much for coming and doing this.
Thank you.
One of my favorite subjects as I evolve, as I told you, get older, and yourself is leadership. And I'm going to ask you, what does leadership mean to you?
I had an interview last week who I thought it was with an incredible leader. And what he showed to me was the willingness to be vulnerable in front of, and I was just a candidate. And so I felt the freedom to be able to approach him with questions that, might not be a question that I'd be asking a CEO, for example. But I just felt his vulnerability and comfortability, and he would share so much of himself with others. And I feel like at that level, when you get to a certain point of leadership and just, your job title, that tends to disappear as you go higher up. And to see someone who is humble enough to still have that and be able to connect with the people lower than him, that was so rare. And I appreciated it so much. And I will always remember that interview.
Especially if it's in the moment. I mean, if you just met someone, and I could see that because people, some of the things that you research on is like the way you dress, eye contact, how you're standing, your body, as a leader, to approach somebody. There's so many different things that you can tell. I think when you said about meeting somebody, if they're stiff or if they're not. I don't know.
Yes.
Say,
No, you definitely, you can, it reminds me of when I was in the professional opera career. I did that all my 20s, still consider myself, but COVID slowed it down. You would know a person's energy, how they were going to perform, the opera panel, those judges. You knew within probably 15 seconds if you were going to pass that audition or not. And it's the same thing. It goes all the way in with people.
I can imagine. And then there's Lisa. That's for you.
Hey, Lisa.
I wanted to ask Lisa also if she got a job. I know she's been looking for a while. Hopefully that you got one, Lisa. Let us know. The one thing that you said to me, what we were talking prior to this, that with leadership, I'm going to go back to that, is to confront, to nip it in the butt, if you want to say, confront. Don't look the other way. You even said, when you're having problems, if you don't, that's one of the biggest problems. I don't think somebody wants to make that decision.
Right. People are afraid to actually approach the issue. And that goes in all kinds of relationships, and in work relationships, family relationships, romantic. And that it does take willpower and vulnerability to do that, which is why I respect vulnerability on a whole new level when it comes to leadership. And there's also a sense of that ego too. You have to lower your ego a little bit to be able to accept, okay, maybe something isn't going wrong here. How can I move forward in a way that will benefit the both of us?
It is, because people, when I talk to you also about when people see that, if you don't make a decision, you don't want to make that tough decision. Your other peers watch that and they see that.
Yes.
So they'll assume that behavior. They're going to take on that behavior also, whether it's work related and anything, like you said, family, anything. If you let it go and you do not confront it, that's one of the biggest mistakes that a young supervisor, new manager, new leader can do.
Right. And then it just breeds a whole sense that there's a lack of accountability within the team. Which then, yeah, exactly. Lack of accountability. And then that leads to just a lack of respect from the leader, because then, all these people are maybe getting away with things. But also to challenge that, I think that there's a fine line too of, how much effort do I put in before I start babying or micromanaging these employees? So it's a beautiful balance. And I think it's very hard to do. So when you find a good leader, it's exceptional.
It is. And through my experiences, I've learned, back in the 90s, I wish we had all these books and all the internet. You could just Google everything and say, what do you do in a situation like this? I took on, I think anybody in leadership that handles stress is one of the worst things as a leader, that if you don't know how to handle it, and I'll admit to you, I'm serious. I mean, I'm 56 now, but when I was in my 20s and learning and being in management my whole career, wow, did I make some mistakes. But
I appreciate you actually sharing that and admitting that, and you have the perspective to look back and realize that.
I wish I would have done things differently on some of the circumstances or situations that I've gone into, because you really, as a leader, you have to take it serious. You're responsible for your team, whether it's an office environment, logistics, whatever. You're responsible for that team. And if you don't hold your end up, again, like you said, I like that loyalty, even everything gets pushed aside. They're not even going to bother looking to you. Like you said, you went up to somebody. If they don't respect you, they're not going to come up to you.
So what is your vision of a good leader?
Wow. Mine is, when you see that person coming, everybody's like, oh, here he comes, or her, whatever. And one that you can kind of bounce ideas off, and they're not going to say no right away, because your team does the job. And some of the mistakes that leaders that I don't, is I'll come up and say something that the team wants, and then they'll say no. It's like, wow, you didn't even really take the time to think about it. So I like somebody that's a people person. I think you need those skills to really be a people person nowadays too.
Yeah.
You agree with that part? I mean,
I do. Yeah. It does require a certain level of being able to be social and understand people. I mean, you do have to be a people person to succeed in leadership.
but able to turn it around. They're, you're not you're friends, but you're not, so I want
Right.
to be able to respect that person when they come. I know they're going to give a good decision, because I find myself saying, "Oh, I know. Don't worry about it. He's going to make a great decision on that. He'll say something really good. Don't worry about it. He's a great person." And that's usually what happens. We got some other people.
Right. But to get to that level of trust too, you need to have, I mean, you need to be able to go to that person, like you're saying, and not be rejected,
Yeah,
or have a conversation. And that is what's going to continue to build the trust. I mean, communication is power when it comes to leadership,
it is.
and in any situation. Over communicate. I strongly believe in that. And I personally try to do that as much as I can.
That's what I'm always into learning. Hey, Gerper, how
Yeah.
you doing? Wow, people haven't seen in a long time.
Oh,
And then here's the man from Utah, but Steve just got a new job and he moved to Texas.
oh my gosh. All these new jobs. It's the season, huh?
Yeah, he's actually flying back and forth right now. Has his house for
Holy
sale and
cow.
everything. We just talked the other day, and he's a great leader. He knows what to do when you go into some situations. Like if you have a bad team, a team that needs help. I always say, and I think you agree with this, when you have your team, and if somebody's, you always have somebody say, "Oh, Dave's no good. Dave can't do that. Dave's too slow." Oh, this person. I believe that leader is responsible. I'm sorry. If that person's
Mm.
not fulfilling the need of the job, you're not giving the tools.
Yes. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Or at least to have the conversation to, approach the situation and say,
Right.
okay, where are your sales lacking? What are you doing? Or, whichever work situation it is, just having that. I mean, like you mentioned, just going head first and asking and figuring out what's going on.
And that's the thing that I find. Let's see. Wow, I haven't seen these guys in a long time. Now I'm going to
This
kill
is
his name.
great.
Vishnu. How would you
Vishnu,
pronounce?
I'm gonna guess Vishnu.
Okay, all right. We'll go with that. Hopefully, we're right there. Some of the other things that I like to tell young leaders and leadership is, it's okay to have that stomach feeling, that bad.
That's a good feeling. That is a good feeling.
Exactly. And
Yes.
why do you think it is? Why do you think it is?
Because that's just your intuition guiding you to either the next step, or to, maybe it's guiding you from a bad decision. I mean, I
Yep.
think that, I mean, you have to learn the feeling too, and address it as it comes. But for the most part, that is a blessing in disguise.
It is. And
It could be leading you away from a bad company or a bad person, or guiding you closer to a great situation.
I agree 1,000%. Steve,
Yeah.
the Ring of Fire is back.
Steven.
Favorite podcast. Steve is the only guy. Get this. Steve has LinkedIn Live. Steve has LinkedIn Live, but he doesn't use it yet.
Steven, come on.
Everybody, the most powerful platform. And I always say that, look at his picture. I always say late night with Stephen Farrell.
That's great. Yep.
See, he's got the
That's
glasses. He
perfect.
takes his glasses off, and I always tease him about that. But no, like you said, there's plenty of times as a leader that you went home at night and you don't sleep.
You
might
do
have
you
to
think that's from
terminate.
guilt, or
Well, yeah, if you have to terminate somebody, if you have to get up in front of a meeting and you're nervous, it's okay. Because I think if you don't have that gut feeling like you're nervous, sometimes you think you're too complacent, and
yes,
that goes
that's a
against
huge
you.
problem. Yeah. And that goes with, I mean, with the ego that's involved, that, you just think that already how to communicate well, when really, I mean, you should be explaining things as if you were talking to a 10-year-old most of the time.
There's no different. There's no different. Lisa says, "Go with your gut," and that's
Yeah.
what it's the truth. And she's right. I don't second guess yourself. And even if I've learned, again, I told you I made bad decisions, wrong, but I never. I always acknowledged them afterwards. I'd be like, "Wow,
Ownership. Yes.
I was wrong.
1000%. And
And
usually when you take ownership like that, that is what will calm the situation. At least it's not going to go as long term as it would if you just took ownership. You know, people are
right.
looking for someone to attack.
And to apologize. I've apologized. I know as
Yeah.
much as that sounds, but when you're in the work environment, I like how you said vulnerability. It's okay for me to say, you know what, guys, or I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Mm,
You know, I think if we would have done it this way, I think that can still turn around to your benefit as a
hmm.
leader.
Yes.
You know, because you're going to look at that person a little bit different. Like, wow, okay, he listened. You know, and that's what I feel that there's some of the things that I've been through. Let's see. Steve says I'm back. All right, we'll see. Not having a nervous feeling sometimes can make you feel. See,
Yeah.
Lisa,
Yep, she agrees. Yeah.
she's right on the money.
Yeah, you can never assume that other people know. That just leads to failure.
No, and it does. A lot of the things, becoming a new supervisor also is becoming friends with the employees, your team members. That is a hard thing. You want to be friends, but you can't be. You, I don't know. I've learned through my mistakes. You don't
Yeah.
go out with your coworkers. That's just me.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. No, I'm very old school like that too, and I agree. I mean, to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I just came out of a job in the fine dining industry where that really wasn't. I mean, at least with leadership and management,
Right.
that was not allowed, very strict. And I
Yep.
actually respected that because you know what? It kept a level of respect
Right.
where I wasn't seeing my managers doing crazy things that would make me lose, respect with them. I appreciated that.
Yeah. Now it's Facebook and everything. Jeez.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
even with that, they don't allow that. And I like that there's like a level of you can't touch them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that brings the respect. But, in the workplace, you can still confront them with a question, or you can
Yeah.
learn from them or ask them for help. I mean, even in situations where I find a leader being willing to maybe step out of their role
Yeah.
and help you with something, I had a GM from the fine dining industry that I was in that would go in the back of the kitchen and be washing dishes if the machine broke. And
Right.
that's pretty spectacular.
When you go and do the job because they did the job themselves.
Right. And actions mean a lot too in that
It does.
workspace.
A wise leader recently told me, "Be you." Sound advice. All right, I'll give that one. All right, Rob has a question. He says, "What are signs of a weak leader? If that leader is failing, who do you report to when you have any issues?" Ooh, you want to take a little bite of that
Good
one?
question. Yeah, I would say the first thing that popped into my head, what are the signs of a weak leader? When I see someone that has a very big ego and is overly confident, overly cocky, and it just doesn't sit well with me because to me, a great leader that has so much success doesn't need that.
Right.
You have the reputation to follow through.
And I agree totally. And Rob, for me, it's kind of almost the same thing. Someone that just doesn't show you any respect back. Listen,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, that's a
because
great
if you have a
question.
team of 5 people and you might not like 2 of them on a personal basis, right? But what I've learned, just because I don't like you, I can't treat you any different. I cannot treat you any differently than the other person, whether people always don't like each other.
Mhm.
We're all different, but if you show any kind of favoritism, anything, that's a sign of a weak leader. And if that leader, the way you're saying there, who you report to, listen, that's where I call it the chain of command. Listen, I'd find a mentor. I'd find somebody else, maybe another manager or a friend, colleague, maybe reach out. Hey, what would you do? Maybe you need to go to that next level,
Mhm.
Because if you can't fix what you don't know, that's broke. So,
Right, and I think in that situation too, I would make sure that before going to anyone,
yep,
then I would make sure that it wasn't my perspective, that maybe I was just,
okay,
like being over, like not being rational about the situation. Maybe it was just something that was directed at me that I was unhappy with and wanted to take it. You know what I mean?
yeah, see
Uh,
that. That's why you're good at right there. I like that. I didn't even no, you don't even think of stuff like that because you don't know if you're wrong. You
Right,
don't know if
exactly.
you're like what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? Like you don't know if
Yeah,
you're saying it wrong, or maybe he or she's perceiving that wrong.
exactly.
Could
And
be the
that's,
same
I'm
way.
always one to just to kind of turn it back around on me before I escalate it,
Right.
because I mean, so often you project things, you project emotions, situations onto other people,
Yeah. Well,
and
you know
that can
what?
just explode.
I'm going to tell everybody this. HR scares the living hell out of me, even at 56 years old. Seriously. They never call you in. And I've said this about human resources. Listen, God bless them. I would never want it when you got 1,000 people at a place. Never. But something's got to change because when they say, hey, Dave, we need to see you. Oh, shoot. Here we go. It's never, you know what? You're doing a great job, Dave. It's always got to be something.
But don't you think in a way that that is a good example of leadership too, that they have that, I mean, not necessarily that they
Yeah.
create the fear, but there is some level of good leadership there too that's shown.
All right. You're lucky. See, you're balancing me out there. You're balancing me out
Yeah,
on that
it's,
one.
pros and
All right.
cons.
All right. Pros and cons. All right. We have another. We have top 3 skills for an efficient team leader. Top 3 skills. I'm going to give one is communication.
Yeah,
I
and
would
I
say
was gonna say, yeah,
I took that one from you.
intentful
I took that one
listening.
for you.
Yeah.
I
Well,
took it
I
from you.
really think it's just so much of it is goes back to communication. I think communication is like a
Communication.
blanket term.
I would say communication. Wow. Innovation. Somebody that's willing to try something different.
Yeah, the
You
willingness
know,
to create.
because a team leader, in my mind, a team leader is getting ready to move up to that next skill set.
Hmm.
So that person, like when I have a team leader, I try to teach them as much as I can because when, like, say, if I was off for 3 or 4 days, I always say, or got hurt, you would just turn the page, I call it. That means that team leader just steps right up
Hmm.
and nothing happens because you've trained that team leader well enough to do your job. But some people
Right.
don't like to do that. They're going to be like, no,
Hmm.
I'm not going to tell. Oh, no, I'm not going to tell her how to do it.
You know what
So
else I was gonna say too is possibly, I was going to say experience, but I want to take that back because I don't think that you need experience to be a great leader. I think that
oh,
there are people that
I
are
like this. Let's hear
innate
this.
leaders.
All right, say that again. I like,
I think there are people that are innate leaders and that you don't need
okay.
experience to be a great leader.
Okay, I'm going to think about that one. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
right. But I don't think it should be in the top 3 skills. So we need one more skill:
one more
communication, innovation.
innovation. I always, if I had to
I
say
was
anything,
I was
humble.
thinking like, oh, okay, you're thinking humility. I was going
Yeah,
a route of like maybe understanding, empathy, uh,
empathy. I would go with that. I like empathy. I would say that. Honesty. I mean,
honesty is huge.
it is. Oh, integrity. You got it.
No, you know what? I think integrity beats all of those.
Yeah, because they're going to look at you for that part. They're going to
Mhm.
look at you because they're going to say, "Wow, you're a team leader now. What do I need to do to get there?"
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. You need a good example.
all right. I'm a new leader in an industry I love. However, I feel that I need a mentor. What are some ways of approaching someone without making them feel you're pressuring them to be a mentor? Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, I can take this one because I've been in
Yeah.
this situation quite a bit with my networking for my future
Yeah.
role. One thing that I would say is that it has to be done naturally. So what I've been doing is reaching out to, I mean, dozens of people on LinkedIn. I mean, and I make like my own little quota every day to reach out to a few people, and I'll send a message. I give them a little snippet of my story, my reason why I'm pursuing what I'm doing, and I usually comment about something that's on their profile page or something that we have in common. And I really just I send it. I ask them if they want to jump on a call, and that I would love to learn about their experience. That needs to come from a place of relation. And once you get on that call, be yourself, just talk,
Yourself.
ask questions, and also listen so that you can ask better questions. And again, you can't force that. I mean,
No.
I've had conversations where I knew, it was really great and I would keep in touch with them, but there were some that just, you'd be on the phone for an hour and then you
Yep.
get back in touch. I also think follow through is very important. So,
And I don't think it's bad to reach out. I reach out to a couple of people still from doing these
yeah.
shows. I've met some people that I'm like, wow, I'll be like, what would you do in this? I don't really think that last part where it says making them feel you pressuring them, if they're a leader or somebody in a management role, I don't really think they'd feel as much pressure. I know I wouldn't. If somebody wants to learn from me, and I have some people and I go to other people, I'm going to ask. And I don't think there's nothing wrong. I don't think you're going to pressure that person. Oh, is that your sound? We lost your sound. Hold on. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Gosh, what was I going to say?
I said about being the mentor, I don't think you're going to be pressured. I wouldn't be. I think it would be honored. I think I love when people come to me and say, Dave, what would you do? I always think, what would you do? I try to give the right advice because I don't want to say something, but that's just me.
Right. And personally, I out of like, say 50 people that I've talked to, maybe
Right.
one other leader has shown signs of, they don't want to talk or something like that. But really, I've been amazed at how willing all of these people have been so that I could talk to them and learn from them. So I really think that, I mean, whoever you are, LinkedIn user, that if you're feeling like you're pressuring them to be a mentor, I think that might just be a little bit of your own fear kind of getting in the way. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. I say go for it. And if it's someone that really inspires you, then just communicate that. Tell them, I really valued what you told me today. This is what I learned from you. And it would be so valuable to keep you around, keep your friendship, keep this relationship going. I'd love to reach out more if I have questions. And then it eventually becomes a mentorship. So none of my mentorships have become official right away. It's kind of just become maybe after the second, third conversation.
I like that. That's a great answer. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think of it that way either. See, this is what I'm talking about, because when you do shows like this and we learn from each other, I never would have thought of it that way.
Yeah. And I appreciate the back and forth too, because I love learning from different perspectives, and I'm a talker. I love conversation, and I love to hear what other people are thinking. And that's the power of communication.
And Lisa's right. Consistency.
Yeah.
That is a good one, consistency, because if you don't do everything, as a leader, if I was to say being consistent, I would take it as I need to do the same thing and not change it all the time to benefit someone else on the team or anything like that. Consistency to me would be just make sure you do it right. There's processes to follow. If you want to deviate from that process, then we can talk about it. But consistency is good. I mean, to me, it's important.
Right. Like your leaders know that you're going to show up to work and do not the same thing, but you're going to provide the same effort. You're going to provide the same attitude about it. And that's really all you can ask for. I mean, so many people nowadays can't even just do their job.
I wrote a couple things down. This is, I'm going to read off a couple of them. It's called perspective thinking. Okay. Most people are insecure. Give them confidence. Most people want to feel special. Compliment them. Most people want a bright future. Give them hope. Most people need to be understood. Listen to them. Most people want direction. Walk with them. 3 more. Most people are selfish. Speak to their needs. Most people get emotional low. Encourage them. Most people want to be included. Ask for their opinion. Most people want success. Help them win. And the last one, most people want to be appreciated. Give them credit.
Wow. Does that not solve all the problems of the world, or what?
Yeah. I had to write it down. Here's my notes. Look at that, baby. Because I like reading stuff like that. It's a lot different when you're on LinkedIn, and you always get people that post the quotes, right? And we all feel good about them. We all feel good about quotes when we read them, like, wow. But when you read it over and over to yourself and think what this means as a leader, I'm trying to think what it means by perspective, though, thinking. Do you know why they would use that wording?
You're talking about bringing perspective thinking into a leadership role?
That's what I'm thinking of. But I'm trying to think why it was labeled as perspective thinking. Like, what was perspective is about that, I guess, solution or problem solution. I don't know. I'll overthink it.
What I think when I think of perspective, I imagine, you're taking a step back so that you can view a whole mass of things around you. And that quote that you just said, you have to have a really a wide and non-judgmental perspective to be able to do that. And I think to a certain extent, a leader will be able to identify what that person needs in the moment. Even if there isn't a lack of communication, they can almost predict it and then provide accordingly what that solution would be.
It is because
I think it's just the perspective is being able to back up and actually see, okay, what is this person? Do they need encouragement? Do they need credit? Do they need, whatever it may be?
And they might need that emotional part too, because I was thinking while you're talking about that is I take away that as leadership is, if you think about it, it's not all about me. If I was the boss, it's not. It's all about you. You're the employee. If you're the employee, this is all, as a leader, everything I just said goes to you. And that's what I take away from that, because everything is, it's not, well, most people are insecure. Well, if I'm insecure, who's going to give me confidence? You know what I mean? So here you're helping people develop, learn, and really, I think by saying these things is going to make them feel like you're a leader.
So what happens then? You just mentioned about, let's see what Vishnu said. I think accountability is also important. A leader should be.
Yes.
Should take
you said that before. We talked about that. You were saying owning up to it.
Yeah. And I've learned too very quickly that ownership is huge. And that's, and I made those mistakes too. And you learn, unfortunately, fortunately, you learn from actually, making those wrong decisions or mistakes or whatever it is. And then the important part is just change your trajectory forward.
It is. And I like that. I like that accountability. It all comes back. I always say leader, 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 but all these key words are built in. And he asked, should take the ownership. Yes, he's right. So, I totally.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't be a leader if there's no one to lead. So just what you said, it all comes back down to the team. I don't even want to say below you, because it at the end of the day, your leader should feel like a teammate too.
Yeah. Say it again.
Your leader should feel like a teammate too.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah, because you're part of the team. You're involved with it. So if you make the decision or they do, again, I'd rather them make the wrong decision than not make one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So true. Make the mistake rather than not doing anything at all.
And own it. And I think as a leader, if it's not something that's, life-threatening or something that's so bad that you can't say, I hope you learn from this. Because we're going to go to HR. I hope you learn from this. Because that's where we're going.
God forbid.
I think as a leader there too, and we're going to end up calling it quits here soon, is being able to take the heat for that person that takes ownership.
Yes, and you see that a lot.
I would be like to you saying, okay, don't worry, I got your back. I got your back. You made a mistake. Let's go. We're going to talk about it. But as a leader, I think you can get that person kind of out of trouble if you're good, if you can.
That's huge. And I had that happen too in a job previously where my manager wouldn't stick up for his own employees. And it was so frustrating I just felt like he didn't see that I had the same goal as he did, the same intentions to please the customer and go above and beyond. But I felt a lot of a lack of support, and that it was a frustrating work.
It gets to you. It gets to you. Nobody wins. and we'll get one more thing from Lisa here. Let's see. It's about us as a team and what makes a corporation or situation better. And that just said it good there. But we went 35 minutes for our first show.
I mean, great conversation.
Love it.
I have so much fun with you, Dave. It's great.
Oh, this is great. And this is everybody, this is episode 1. So we're going to be back next week with episode 2. And we're just going to continue because I'll tell you, I got notes. You talk about notes here that I've written. So we got enough here for myself for a couple shows. But I think if anything out of this show tonight, that if anybody's, when they're watching and want to learn is, I like the accountability. Make the decisions. Don't, as a leader, make a decision. Your employees are watching you. One of your employees are struggling, help them, assist them. You even said about you can go outside of the boundaries a little bit to give somebody some personal advice or advice outside of work. That's, I think you brought that up before.
Yeah.
You talked about that. And really developing as a leader yourself and your team. Because if they're not learning, neither are you. If you just get up every day and go to work and that's the same old thing, that drives me nuts. Talk to your team, talk to them, new ideas as a leader, bring that up, so that's my ending part. And I know you want to have something to say.
Yeah. I just keep coming back to the idea that communication is for a leader. Yeah. And, when in doubt, communicate your feelings, communicate your, what you're thinking the trajectory is going to be for the company, for the team, or, any doubts or even fears. I mean, gosh, I would be it would be an incredible thing to see a leader just share, okay, you know what, I'm feeling nervous about this. What do you all think that would be the best solution to this? I mean, how incredible would that be,
And that makes the person really feel good.
Yes.
They'll walk away feeling really good because people
valued.
People leave. What's that saying all the time? People don't leave work; they leave their bosses or something like that. It's like people leave their bosses. They don't leave their job; they leave their bosses because of that stuff.
That's so
no, it's been a great conversation tonight, and everybody. I want to thank everybody. God, we had so many people tonight.
Yeah, those are great questions too, everyone. Thank you.
Great questions. Great questions for a show. So we will be back next week again on episode 2 of maybe of 100 by the time we get through with this. So,
I know.
Everybody have a great. It is Thursday, right? No, it's Wednesday only. Oh my God.
No, I thought it was Thursday too. I've been saying it was Thursday since last year.
All right. For some reason I was thinking it's like Thursday. So, all right, everybody, have a great night and thank you. And I'm going to talk to you right after this.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.